We are back with Mike Hajjar. We're talking about his incredible story, his journey. We've discussed how he had a major health challenge in the hospital for a while. Now, during that time, Mike, you had this pivotal revelation that you needed to retool your business, go down this relationship track, do things differently. And that doesn't come easy, and it interrupts the flow of maybe normal business operations. So, you know, uh, I can imagine even just thinking about that for myself, how things might stack up. And so you have hospital bills, you're out of production for a while. Maybe your team wasn't producing. I mean, there's a whole host of things. They might be uncertain. That could have a lull in income. So, like, how did things progress when you got out of the hospital to try and build up the business that you have today that is really rocking and rolling? There had to be a transition period. What happened during that time frame?
Yeah, that was probably one of the most challenging periods of my life because I still had a lot of, like you said, still the similar expenses coming in. I hadn't fully changed my lifestyle expenses, even though I was working on changing my lifestyle in general. The spending was somewhat, and of course, like you said, hospital bills, things getting racked up. But I lost when I had got a call from my admin or my office manager who's still with us when I was in the hospital, and she was crying, and I asked her what was wrong, and she said they're taking all of the files. The sales manager has basically recruited all of the loan officers except a few to go. So when I made that transition, I didn't still have the income coming in from the consumer direct side, but I so heavily believed in what I was doing, and I knew that it wasn't going to happen overnight. So I was racking up a ton of debt as soon while I was in the hospital and the year after, because it took me a while to build that foundation of strong relationships and people starting to trust you to send business and things of that nature. So I continued to incur debt as that was happening, which again was where I probably say mindset really pushed me through that. But it was a constant daily thing of credit cards declining, all these little deterrents that could have pulled me away from my focus. I got laser focused. I knew that I believed that on the other side of this was going to be something that not only was going to help me get out of all my debt, was going to help me tell a story one day like this to probably the younger version of myself, right? Which is, if you believe in something, I don't care if your mom, your dad, your uncle, everyone around you is telling you that it's impossible. Well, you're the only one that knows if it's possible or not. And if you lock in, and that's where that really that no quitting personality and mindset had served me very well. And now, from the outside looking in, from everybody, including every one of my family members, they're like, "What are you doing?" But it wasn't taking the health tolls that it took on me before,
Mm.
because I knew that there was a plan that I was following, whether or not anybody else, outside of my team. Of course, my team was on board because I still had those salaries, right? But that really, that mindset of believing in what I was doing and just never quitting that is really what helped me then start to generate more income in a month after that than I was in a year on the consumer direct side.
Mm. Yeah. So once the tipping point happened, it happened quickly.
Yeah, and they say you become a overnight celebrity, right? Or you become successful overnight, but they don't see all the times you got kicked down and had to get back up, 300 times before that happens. And yeah, it's, I guess, success happens overnight to the people that are kind of watching you from the sidelines. But it definitely doesn't happen overnight. It takes, if anything great takes time, and it takes perseverance and a willingness to. Belief is just a powerful word to me. So when you believe in something, I believe go all in on that. But Not just say you're going all in. Do the activities that are going to get you there, and have a plan and a vision that's so bold that it outweighs whatever negative distractions could be coming at you at that time.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Now, you talked about, speaking to the younger version of you. And with your podcast, that's something you're going to be doing a little bit, and you're focused quite a bit now on the importance of financial education. So a lot of this is stemming, Mike, from your own personal experience in dealing with things, the things that you didn't know, some of the things that happened in your 20s where you probably could have more capital available if you knew how to retain it more, that sort of thing. So walk us through a little bit about what you're passionate about now, how you're looking to help people and serve specifically in the Gen Z category.
Absolutely. So I shouldn't say partnered. I am an ambassador for what's basically the mortgage industry's nonprofit. I donate a certain percentage of every single deal that we do to First Home IQ, which is founded by Kristen Masurley, Dave Savage, who is a legend in the mortgage industry when it comes down to financial literacy. He's somebody who I gained a ton of knowledge from, and Todd Bookspan, another mortgage legend. But we're about 770 ambassadors throughout the country, and we're going into schools. We're going into setting up our own workshops, and you have 40, let's just say over 40% of Gen Z discounting that they're ever going to be able to buy a home. A lot of it is they think they need, 20% down or more. But even going in and teaching things that have nothing to do with buying a home, like I think we were talking about before we got on, was that unfortunately we do want it to be taught in schools, but if the teachers, don't understand financial literacy, how can they teach it? So we are the ones going into those schools, and sometimes we'll have little ways to get their attention, right? I might bring in like somebody, a celebrity buddy or something like that, where he's gonna edify me and say, "Hey, if it wasn't for Mike, I would have probably blown all of my money from my NFL contract." Even though he had a financial advisor, right? He focused on the basics of what I was teaching, which is the stuff that we're teaching them about credit, income, um, adulting, right? Just going out there into the real world, and what sort of things that they can be prepared for.
Yeah, fantastic. And when you're doing these types of sessions, and you mentioned 770 ambassadors, that's fantastic. So that's people all over the nation being able to insert themselves in some way into these more youthful type environments. And it sounds like the school system is a big part of that. Fantastic to hear. What's the frequency that you're able to get in and do this? Do you go to multiple schools in an area? Is it putting on, as an example, would you be setting up sessions where people could come and attend from the general public, like parents could bring kids, they could both attend? What are some of the ways that people can get connected to this type of information?
Yeah, so I have a quiz that I give out to. It's on a lot of my social platforms, little financial literacy quiz. But yes, there's different events that are online and in person. It's all over my social media of when those are going to be. There's a YouTube video of one of the classes that I did that's out there for free for people to watch. And the I have the privilege of, I coach seventh grade basketball. So with the athletic director, I got all the sports players from every grade. It didn't matter. It didn't make sense to the kindergartners, but we brought them in anyways. And we were coming in, and it was tough, right? That was a tough one to teach from like kindergarten to eighth grade. Heavier emphasis on the older ones. But yes, a lot of the schools in Oakland County, Michigan, the county that I live in,
Mhm.
is where we're going into, because those are the schools that again, like we discussed, I wish somebody had came into that school with those concepts for me.
Makes total sense. Yeah, I can appreciate that. And it's incredible that type of work that you're doing, but also that, it sounds like with that many ambassadors, there's a lot of volume that's able to take place with that. And it seems like for the most part, these ambassadors are folks that are connected to the mortgage industry because it's ties to the mortgage nonprofit. So mostly they would be brokers and things and loans officers that are maybe for different companies, but they're all circled around this same nonprofit organization. Is that right?
It is. I'd say 80% are in the mortgage and real estate industry. And then I'd say the other 20% are teachers, financial advisors, life insurance specialists. So we're starting to get other professionals in there. But yes, you're right. The majority is people who are in the mortgage industry. And, I don't know, in other people's eyes, we're competitors. I don't know, unless somebody's going to do all the loans in the country. There's enough food on the table for all of us to eat. So we collaborate once a month, getting together on Zoom, and then twice a year we get together in person. And everybody brings these unique strategies to the table. So when you were asking how, in my head, I'm like, I may not know how to answer that because every single ambassador's got something amazing that they bring to the table, in their own unique way, right? In their own authentic way. And but yeah, it is a lot of mortgage professionals now, and we're looking to definitely bring in more people. And every time I see a teacher get in there, I'm happy because they already have the access to go do that. Now they're just sort of plugging into our world and taking those concepts back, and using it in their curriculum.
Amazing. Well, you don't need to own the ocean to sail on it. And
No, no.
with that in mind, we'll be back with Mike in just a moment.